So again, so if you see the statements that the media coalition issued, our ask for the state of emergency was over the water bodies, over the buffers that have been set. Those are illegalities that should not be happening. Then also in the forest areas. And to make this point, that the distinction between small-scale mining and the illegality has to be made clear, because it has nothing to do with size. Akonta Mining, who were fingered by the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources as being engaged in illegal mining, it's not a small-scale miner, but they had gone into the Tanor Nimre Forest Reserve, and they were also mining close to a buffer, the buffer of the Tanor, which is an illegality, pure illegality. So that operation was being done by a mining firm that is not a small-scale mining firm. Heritage Imperial are also a large-scale mining firm that were given prospecting or exploratory license, one of them, and had gone into some of the forest reserves with excavators. You don't even, if you are doing bulk sampling, you don't need excavators to do that. They are involved, and we had written to the EPA asking whether they had a permit to mine. And the EPA had told us that they did not have a permit to mine. So they were involved in an illegality. That firm is not a small-scale mining operation. So the point has to be made that there are some operations that are being done by large-scale miners that are illegal. That has to be stopped. There are some operations that are being done by people who you would call small-scale miners. So it does not, the illegality does not matter of your size. And the point also has to be made that there are some small-scale miners that are mining, that are reclaiming their lands and are doing very good work. So that distinction has to be made. And so in our call, we were very, very particular about the water bodies, the buffers of the water bodies, the forest reserves. And you find out that in the forest reserve, there are no small-scale miners in the forest that have been given any concessions to mine in the forest reserves. And we're also asking that for any licenses or leases that have been given that abut any of these buffers to our water bodies also be abrogated immediately. So I think that it is important that we, in whatever crisis response we have that we want to do, we are mindful of who are the causes of the illegality and also mindful of who are doing the right thing. Unless we want to go the El Salvador way, where we decide that all mining should be banned, but to be discriminatory and then affect those who do legal work and add them to it, or leave those who also work and leave the illegal people with it, you would have a problem. So when you draw a Venn diagram of the challenge that you have, you want to deal with illegality, whether it's being done by a small-scale miner or it's being done by a large-scale miner. And most of that, we have laws already to do. The only thing is the operationalization of the laws. That's why we are calling for a state of emergency over the water bodies and those areas I have mentioned, and in the forest reserves, and giving the president the powers under a state of emergency to be able to take all actions that are necessary. As we speak, the UK, for example, when they had their challenges with these routes, what did they do? They immediately had a court immediately set up. A number of people who have been arrested and imprisoned is the reason why they've been able to deal with the situation. So if we want to continue dealing with what the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources is professing, which is the same old thing, it would not resolve the problem. But we believe that like small-scale miners who are doing their good job in places that they've been given to mine and are mining sustainably should not also be impacted on the crisis response.
But Ken, the Attorney General periodically reminds us of the number of people they have prosecuted.
So Randy, I would want Metro TV, and our radio stations to also go and look into those number of people they are prosecuted and find out whether the former MCE for Butsumoe from who was caught on tape confessing to an illegality, whether he's one of those who they even have started any processes to prosecute. Go and find out whether the Bernard Buetsiaku, who is one of the directors with another person, of Akonta Mining, who was fingered by the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, and then also confirmed by the Minerals Commission, whether they are part of those people who are mining. Go and find out again that the people who are brought in these excavators, and excavators from their VIN numbers, you'll be able to tell those who imported them in, those who rented them, and all of that. Go and find out that those people, whether they are part of the people who are being prosecuted. Also, as you do that search, find out what has happened to a lot of the Chinese. You will be told that when they are arrested and they are finally taken to court, they will tell you that there are no translators. So most of them are let free. And let's not forget that we were in this country when we were prosecuting Aisha Huang, and an attorney general before him, declared a nolle prosequi, and the senior minister came to justify the reason why that nolle prosequi has been granted. Fortunately, thank God for the current attorney general. We've been able to prosecute that woman, and she's in jail. I just hope that we'll be able to confirm whether she's actually in jail, because you remember at some point we were told that she has been deported, but the president was not even too sure whether that deportation has happened. So yes, some numbers have been done, but the devil is in the detail. Who are being arrested? And again, go back and remember that when John Peter Mewu was Minister for Lands, he brought us some intelligence report that had named the people who were doing it. And the two mentioned in the meeting that 30% of the people that they knew who was involved in galamseyers, or they themselves were involved in it. The Speaker of Parliament also said the same thing. So we know the influential people. Unfortunately, we are operating that spider's web thing, where it catches only the small people, but the big flies that fall into it break the web and go. So we are not dealing with the root cause of the problem. The people who are actually funding this, the people who are buying the gold, we are letting them scot-free, mostly because the leadership is complicit in it. The rich and influential people are complicit in it. It is the poor people, vulnerable people you find in the pits, who, because have seen that when the big people do it, nothing happens to them, also do it to earn a living, and they are the people who we normally arrested. So the 850 people, it would really be great to find out who are in that 850.
Well, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has issued a statement. I mean, after all what has been said, and I have even the TUC, the Organized Labor Statement, and they say that they're asking for an immediate declaration of state of emergency in line with the provisions of the 92 Constitution, Articles 31 and 31(4). The declaration must incorporate the following: A, an order to halt to all forms of mining, legal or illegal, in forest reserves and around water bodies. 2, immediate evacuation of all mining equipment in forest reserves and around water bodies. C, the deployment of the police and the military with full orders to remove to destroy all mining equipment and other earth-moving equipment around river bodies and in the forest reserves. 2, the immediate revocation of LI 2462 and withdrawal of all licenses that have been granted for prospecting and mining in forest and protected reserves and also around water bodies. 3, establish a special court to prosecute the perpetrators of this horrible crime. And Organized Labor says will urgently embark on series of demonstrations and a nationwide strike if government fails to address the concerns raised by end of September 2024, which would be some 17 days or 18 days away. However, in this press statement by the ministry, the press release by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, paragraph 2 is the only paragraph that deals with issues of enforcement action. In fact, their statement deals with two things. They talk about reformative and strict enforcement. So the reformative is where they bring in the Minerals Commission. And then the strict enforcement, which is in paragraph 2, is what I'm going to read to you. And that is all what this statement says. The meeting adopted additional measures at tackling the age-old national problem of illegal small-scale mining in galamsey. Through a comprehensive approach, the government will continue with a dual strategy of reformative measures and strict enforcement. The regional ministers, alongside their respective regional security councils, RECSEC, have been mandated to intensify enforcement actions within their various jurisdictions to contain incidents of illegal small-scale mining. And that is all what this statement speaks to with respect to all the issues that you've raised and the action that you have asked for. They say that the regional ministers, alongside their respective regional security councils, have been mandated to intensify enforcement actions within their various jurisdictions to contain incidents of illegal small-scale mining. So this is how government intends to deal with what we are talking about.
So, Randy, again, so, yesterday when I saw the statement, I was almost weeping. It's as if the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources does not realize the enormity of the crisis that we are in. So that paragraph you read, there's nothing new about this. These regional ministers have been crossing the Enyinem Bridge, and they will see, the illegality that's happening there. You go around Cobra and the tunnel and see all the chamfans that are on the water bodies. There's nothing new in that. And when you are in a crisis, you have a child who is hemorrhaging. You don't keep on just giving him or her some painkillers. You deal with the crisis. So my pain is that the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, who is a physicist, he's a scientist before he is a lawyer. He should know that, if you continue doing the same thing, your NTUs are going to climb beyond the 14,000. It's not going to solve our problem. He does not deal with all the asks that have been done. So this statement is really woefully inadequate. And I'm sure, again, I'm not too sure, because he might have been in his meeting that he didn't realize the intensity of the pain of Ghanaians. To get the Catholic Bishops' Conference, President himself to fly from Sunyani to come to Accra, to get the Christian Council, the Secretary General herself to join this, and the various people who have joined, and the number of statements that have been issued out of this thing, he should realize the fact that the people who are sovereign, who they govern, who we've given them the mandate to govern, we are saying that the same thing they have been doing has brought us to the point where we have 14,000 NTUs in the human water treatment plant. It is the reason why people are falling into pit and dying. It's the reason why renal diseases are on the increase. It's the reason why we're losing our forest cover. So it is not adequate. What he said is not adequate. I've just heard him in another dispatch said the conversation should continue, but there's no conversation if this is where he's starting from. So we are in a crisis. And you see, the crisis response is the things we've listed. When again you look at the TUC statement, they did not refer to whether large scale or small scale. They refer to places that the ban should happen on the river bodies, by the side of the river bodies, in the forest reserves. And these are the causes of our problems. And we cannot do it with the solutions that the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources has professed. So unfortunately, his statement does not even start it. It is what he has suggested. It's just the status quo, and that is not sufficient to deal with the crisis that is at hand.
Well, Ken, when I saw the statement yesterday and this morning, I was even telling the panel that I decided to reserve my comments, because when I saw the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources statement, it made me extremely angry. Yes. It made me extremely upset, and I'll just give you one reason. Just a couple of months ago on this station, we played a video of a parliamentary candidate in the Western region, yes, speaking to miners.
Yes.
And in the presence of the regional minister. And telling the miners about cadastral, and is in fact the video that I'm showing now. That's the regional minister in the yellow or gold shirt with the sunglasses. Right there. And telling them that they're setting up a WhatsApp platform and all that. And that they have stopped the soldiers. They have prevented the soldiers from, that was the regional minister, that they prevented the soldiers, they have stopped the galam, whatever. They have seized all that. And then this guy says that, look, we're setting up a WhatsApp platform. We're putting the minister on it, the MCE, and everybody else. If any soldier comes there to disturb you or seize your equipment, quickly get in touch with us and we'll sort it out for you. Now, the minister and his ministry are telling me that these same regional ministers and RECSEC are those who are supposed to enforce or ensure compliance to the law. I mean, how more can you insult my intelligence than this?
But you make the point, and it is that has brought us to where we are. The fact that the people who have to police this thing have not shown, the willingness to crack the whip. And bear in mind, and you said it right, it's a parliamentary candidate And you, even if you listen to the utterances of, you read the manifestos of the two political parties, you don't see in anywhere that the crisis responsive. You would have heard the former president also mention the fact that when he comes, people who have been arrested would be let go because normal. You see, so the systems we have run all this while, it will not solve our problems for us. So you can't come and tell us the same thing and expect. We need something completely new that we have not done to find a way of resolving the problem that is at stake. So this one, I can understand your pain, and you have a reason why you should do that. And again, these regional ministers, how it come that the president met all DCEs some time back? And these DCEs are being coordinated by the regional ministers. And all of these DCEs are at post. The central regional minister is at post. But then you have her water bodies there currently at 14 NTUs, and they are rationing water. But I'm pretty sure she will continuously have water to drink. So she will not be suffering the challenges of my colleagues who are in St. Augustine's College, my friends who are in Edina, who are suffering from the lack of water. So you see, the old ways of fighting this problem, it will not resolve it. That is why Christ said you don't put old wine in a new wine skin. You need new set of measures to be able to deal with, and those are the measures that have been outlined by all the bodies that are speaking. And I think that the minister needs to, maybe he's not read the room. He needs to read the room and see the things that we need to do to resolve the challenges that confront us.